Hello everybody, how are you doing? Welcome back again to that episode. No, another episode of that show that will not be named. Screwed up the intro there. I am Brian, or to Game Prince, whatever you prefer. Roll the tongue there. Gotta make sure to roll the tongue. And today I was hoping to talk about the series of unfortunate events. Both the old movie and the new series. Because I've been watching a lot of it. I think it's so funny. It's funny, it's depressing, it's just a great all-around show. And I always wondered, like, when the original movie came out with Jim Carrey, and it really fudged that Jim Carrey was playing this one guy that was playing all these different characters, and I love shit like that. I love movies like that. But in that film, I definitely see the Netflix one where Neil Patrick Harris is playing Olaf, and I have such a hard time deciding against who I thought was a better Olaf. It's kind of like comparing Kirk to Picard, only in my case I would choose Picard any day of the week, for reasons I will talk about in another video one day probably. And one of the biggest things that I think I love about the new series of unfortunate events is because it's so much heartier. I don't know, I feel like there was so much more soul put into it. There was so much more stuff put behind, you know, like the dialogue and the characters and the way everybody interacts. It's so funny. And Olaf he's a piece of shit while being hilarious at the same time. And Neil Patrick Harris does it great. Because my first exposure to it, I saw a trailer on Netflix. And I didn't think I was going to like it. I'm like, oh, they're just rebooting something from a few years ago. I thought it was going to be shit. One day I got really bored and I just decided, okay, I'll sit down and I'll give it a shot. And I love it. I think it's so funny. And plus, it goes past where the movie went, because the movie with Jim Carrey, of course, they didn't adapt the entire series. They took the first few books and, like, kind of stuck it together. Mix-matched some events. And I'm assuming they wanted to make more, but the movie just didn't go over that well. Now that we have the TV show, hopefully it's getting enough, revenue or attention that hopefully this will go on for many more seasons and many more. Hopefully finish out the entire series. And yeah, it's just a really good. It's probably one of the only. I kind of went through this phase where, not a phase, more or less, just a period where all of my favorite shows were either on hiatus or they were getting canceled. Like Hannibal. I used to watch the Hannibal series on some channel. The Hannibal series I thought was great. It got canceled. It ended, so not looking forward to any more of that. Game of Thrones, I'm not seeing anything else on that, so if it's in hiatus, it's on whatever. I'm waiting for that to come back out. This was sometime before. What is it? I hadn't seen any American Horror Story coming out. I hadn't seen any. I had finished F is for Family. I had finished, and I was completely done watching all of like the really long sitcoms that I usually like to watch. I finished Everybody Loves Raymond. I finished How I Met Your Mother. I finished That 70s Show. And I was at a point where all my favorite shows were just gone, either canceled or had ended, or were in the process of having another season made, but I'd have to wait a while. Even Doctor Who, like, I got really bland on that. Then Sherlock ended. So then I was just scrolling around on Netflix and I found Series of Unfortunate Events, and it was the only thing that was relatively interesting to something that I knew in the past. So I figured I'd give it a try, and I did not regret it. It was so funny. Not much else I could say for it besides that. I know most of my videos seem to be recommendations. I always wanted to say I didn't want this really to be a review channel and more just a, hey, this is cool, go check this out kind of channel. But I think I do a pretty good job in sticking to that, because unless it's something philosophical like Dune or discussing, vigilante stuff like in the Boondock Saints, unless I really get into something like that, which I'd have to actually get kind of drunk for, because believe me, I talk best when I'm drunk. I get into the most philosophical conversation. So next week, getting paid, going to put some money aside for that wine, flip on the camera, and then we'll have some real deep conversations then. Until then, it's really just recommendations, I guess. So yeah, the Series of Unfortunate Events on Netflix. Definitely check it out. You will not regret it. The first episode, honestly, the first thing drew me in. The only thing I think you're going to hate is the ignorance of the adults in that show. The adults, some of the adults are just really fucking stupid. But then again, that coincides with, that's how it is in the books, and that's how it is in the story, so it has to be that way. And a lot of... It's strange how, morbid shit happens, people die, but it's just kind of like, oh well, shit happens, let's go on. And, I don't know, it's handled very, very lightheartedly. These horrible things are handled very just, oops, lightheartedly. And it's just odd. It's oddly funny how they go about it. So, yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. Series of Unfortunate Events on Netflix. Check it out. It's amazing. And I will see you guys next time. Adios.